Ari, you really are on a mission to educate the public and the masses. What does tokenization mean to you if they're not blockchain experts?
Tokenization means merely taking an asset, whether that's a stock, whether that's an ETF, whether that's a bond, whether that's debt, whatever the asset is, taking that and putting it on a blockchain. So that the units on a blockchain is called a token, hence tokenization. And the real promise of tokenizing these assets really comes in the form of interoperability. So you're invested in some public stocks and you want to then take that money out and put it in bonds or private company shares or something along those lines. The movement of those funds, very difficult. Whereas if they all get turned into tokens, the tokens are inherently based on their technologies, sort of interoperating, as in they can be swapped directly, one for the other, based on, whatever pricing and things like that. And so the future, when people say the future is tokenization, what they're talking about is this omni-asset trading platform where one day you may be able to log on to your Fidelity account or your Schwab account or something like that, and you may be able to buy not just stocks, but you may be able to buy all sorts of different assets that you want to be invested in, whatever private company you want to invest in, whatever bonds you want to invest in, debt, treasuries. And so that's really the promise of tokenization and why people are excited about tokenization.
Real world assets going beyond just what in our industry, or at least for Apex Group, tokenizing funds. You're talking about everything and anything.
Skybridge doing that with Apex and Avalanche is exactly what I'm talking about. Is eventually everything's going to get tokenized. And once everything gets tokenized, then you'll be able to go on Rain and you'll be able to buy anything you want to buy.
You're linking blockchain settlement with traditional financial systems like the Visa network. Explain that to people like me or the average person out there. What does that mean? How do you guys do that?
If you look at how money has operated historically, it's been tied to interest rates. So if you want to transfer money from one account to another, you have to go to your partner bank. You go to your bank account, call them up, and depending on what payment rail they use, the money may arrive a day. In other cases, it may arrive 2-3 days later. That's how the system works. We tokenize money. All of our card programs, every single customer of ours is transacting 24 hours a day. And so whenever there's a transaction that takes place, those monies are actually getting settled directly with us and then from us directly to the card network on a 7-day cadence, 24 hours a day, 360 days a year. There's no holidays anymore. There's no business or nighttime. And that's driving significant cost improvements for us as well as for our clients. Historically, most people have had to post collateral with payment card networks or with each other. In our case, because we can transact 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the requirements of working capital in our business is significantly lower than it would be if we were operating the traditional financial system. And then we're able to pass those savings on to our clients, right? So instead of having to post 5 days of collateral to absorb the risk over a long weekend, our customers can actually operate with 1 day of reserves. We can authorize transactions in real time, and there's really no lag or dead weight in the system.
How are you helping these assets that you're talking about, including Rain's part and Wyoming stablecoin, be usable in the real world?
Our thesis is that a lot more assets are going to be tokenized. A lot more issuers are going to be issuing types of stable coins or tokenized deposits. We may even see legal tender tokenized in a variety of countries through CBDC or legally approved stablecoin issuance. And our thesis has been that once that happens, issuing a stablecoin in a vacuum or issuing a payment token in a vacuum, it is a closed loop system. And so connecting it to Rain and letting us connect it to Visa or MasterCard or ACH or Wire or SEPA or SWIFT, it actually creates an open loop paradigm for an inherently closed asset. And so that lets us actually help folks transact anywhere that you would normally transact. And so that's a really interesting part of the Frontier token, which is the state has issued the first stable coin by a US state.
What if you could invest in anything from anywhere? Is there any key takeaway you want people to know?
That you don't have to worry about whether it's blockchain or not.
Really?
It's going to happen. It's already happening. Rain is doing that. You're not necessarily worried about what specific stablecoin or something like that is backing it. Same thing with Dinari Network. We have an API that banks in general can sort of plug into. Anyone who wants to offer these different types of securities, they will be able to offer it to their customers. So you may be a customer of Schwab or Fidelity on one day, and it is actually running on Dinari's technology on the back end, and you won't even know. But one day you will notice things. Like, for example, maybe in your Robinhood app, you'll be able to, let's say you have some Apple shares, you'll be able to directly switch that into Google shares, which is something that you can't do today in any of these brokers. But because now everything's been forwarded over to blockchain, that is called a swap, and that is a native built-in mechanism of tokenization and tokens themselves. So what we take for granted in the crypto space is being brought over to people who know nothing about crypto and who know nothing about the blockchain. And it's all going to happen in a way that's largely invisible to people, and rightly so, right? New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, what technology does that run on? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
People don't care.
They just want to make sure they can buy and sell
they care about
whenever
the
they
future,
want.
care about the 24/7,
Liquid
right?
and accessible.
Right. So what Rain is doing for just stable coins and cash in general, we're doing for securities, 24/7 trading, direct swap between Apple and a Google share. Like, all of these things are possible with this new technology that we call blockchain. And that technology is going to just change the infrastructure of all the apps that we know and love. And so all these features are going to be available to millions and millions of people, and they don't really have to buy into anything. It will just happen.
Right. Whether you know a lot about it, whether you're in favor of it, against it, regardless, it's occurring. And you said all of this is possible. Farooq, is this becoming possible, at least in the US, because of the Genius Act and the regulation around stablecoin? Did that help you in your partnership with Wyoming?
Yeah, like the Genius Act, having rules for the road are very, right. Creating pathways to create legal tender money and being able to, the regulatory space for technology innovation to exist is very important. And being able to do so is going to bring more institutional appetite, and it's going to bring more technology innovation. And that is going to merge together to create new products and services for consumers and businesses around the world. And I think that over the last few years, people around the world have been waiting for guidance from the world's largest economy. We finally have a little bit, and we're going to hopefully get more over the next year or so. We're going to continue building for the day after regulatory.